In the dead of night, deep behind enemy lines, a covert team moves with precision and silence. They are the elite of the elite, the U.S. Army's Delta Force. From hostage rescues to high-value target raids, Delta Force has become the stuff of legends. In today's video, we're counting down the top 10 facts about Delta Force, the shadowy unit that takes on the missions no one else can. Strap in for a thrilling journey through history, secret training grounds, and heroic missions that will have you on the edge of your seat. You'll discover how Delta Force was born, what it takes to become one of these operators, and jaw-dropping stories of their exploits. Let's dive in. 10. Born from 1970s terror. The origins of Delta Force was formed in 1977 in response to a wave of international terrorism in the 1970s. U.S. Army Colonel Charles "Charlie" Beckwith, a Green Beret veteran, had served alongside Britain's Special Air Service, SAS, in the 1960s and realized the U.S. needed a similar ultra-elite unit. For years, Beckwith pushed for a dedicated counter-terrorism team of doers rather than just instructors. Finally, after incidents like the 1972 Munich Olympics massacre, the U.S. military gave Beckwith the green light. On November 19, 1977, Beckwith and Colonel Thomas Henry officially established the first Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, better known as Delta Force. Its purpose: to wage war on terror, conduct hostage rescues, and execute highly specialized raids where failure was not an option. From day one, Delta Force was modeled after the SAS, emphasizing small, adaptable teams that could operate with total autonomy. In fact, early Delta recruits even worked alongside SAS instructors to shape their tactics. By late 1979, after nearly 2 years of rigorous preparation, Delta Force was mission-ready, just in time to face its first big test in Iran. A secret unit with a presidential mandate from its inception, Delta Force has been wrapped in secrecy. The U.S. Army releases virtually no official information about Delta. There isn't even a public fact sheet on the unit. Its very existence was long officially unacknowledged, earning it nicknames like the Unit or Combat Applications Group, CAG, among those in the know. Delta operates under the Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC, alongside the Navy's SEAL Team 6 and other Tier 1 units. These Tier 1 special mission units are the tip of the spear, often taking orders directly from the President and Secretary of Defense for the most critical and covert missions. Delta Force's missions, counter-terrorism raids, covert operations, and hunting high-value targets are typically highly classified. Operators live by a code of silence. They rarely speak publicly, and even their families might not know the details of their service. Inside the military, Delta Force is so secretive that it sometimes uses cover names like Army Compartmented Element to mask its actions. Despite the secrecy, its reputation is legendary. When a crisis erupts, a hijacked airliner or a terrorist leader on the loose, it's often Delta Force that gets the call to handle the impossible, with no publicity and no fanfare. 8. Only the best of the best can join. You can't sign up for Delta Force straight out of basic training. You have to earn your way in. Delta Force selects its operators from the ranks of already elite soldiers. Most Delta recruits come from units like the 75th Ranger Regiment or Green Berets, Special Forces, and some even from other services' Special Ops. These are battle-hardened troops who have proven themselves, yet Delta's selection course breaks down even the strongest. The exact tests are classified, but we know candidates undergo brutally grueling trials. One famous part of selection is a series of long-range land navigation hikes through rugged mountains, carrying a heavy rucksack and only a map and compass to find their way. As the course progresses, the ruck weight increases and the distance gets longer. In the final gut check, known unofficially as the Long Walk, candidates march about 40 miles over rough terrain with a 45-pound pack, racing against an unknown time limit. By the end, their feet are blistered and their spirit truly tested. Throughout selection, instructors push soldiers to their physical and mental breaking points to see who never quits. It's common for the majority of candidates to wash out. Delta's attrition rate is rumored to be sky-high, often well above 90%. Those who complete the marches then face a peer review and an interview board of Delta commanders and psychologists. They'll grill the candidate with rapid-fire questions, evaluating attitude, judgment, and the ability to handle stress. Only those who excel in every aspect, endurance, navigation, marksmanship, mental resilience, and teamwork, earn a slot in Delta's operator training course. In short, Delta Force's selection may be the toughest exam on Earth, ensuring that only the best of the best wear the Delta badge. 7. Training for every scenario, even evading the FBI. Passing selection is just the beginning. New Delta operators then enter the Operator Training Course, OTC, roughly 6 more months of insanely intensive training. Here they master the full spectrum of skills needed for counter-terror warfare. Delta trainees become experts in close-quarters battle, CQB, learning to storm buildings, take down terrorists in tight spaces, and shoot with pinpoint accuracy even when hostages are a hair's breadth away. One particularly wild training exercise even involved the FBI. At one point, new Delta recruits had to evade a manhunt by FBI agents. The trainees were given fake identities as wanted criminals and had to travel from Fort Bragg to Washington, D.C. to meet a contact without being caught by FBI teams who were tipped off with their descriptions. This high-stakes cat-and-mouse game tested Delta candidates' surveillance detection and stealth in a real-world environment. Such rigorous drills forge Delta operators who can think on their feet and operate solo in hostile territory if necessary. 6. Cutting-edge gear and weapons of the elite Delta Force operators are armed to the teeth with the most advanced weapons and gear the U.S. military can provide. In fact, Delta has its own team of gunsmiths who custom-modify weapons to each operator's liking. They employ the latest night vision goggles that turn night into day, advanced communication gear, and satellite tech to coordinate clandestine ops. To get to target, Delta can use everything from MH-6 Little Bird helicopters that land on a dime to customized armored vehicles and dune buggies for rugged terrain. Delta Force has every tool imaginable at their disposal, and they know how to use each one with lethal skill, whether it's a silenced pistol or an aerial drone overhead. 5. Trial by Fire Operation Eagle Claw. 1980, Delta Force's very first major mission was as dramatic as it gets and showed just how high the stakes are. In April 1980, only months after Delta became fully operational, they were tasked with a daring rescue attempt known as Operation Eagle Claw. The situation: 52 American diplomats and citizens were being held hostage in the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, Iran by revolutionary militants. The plan was audacious. Delta Force, along with other special ops and support units, would secretly fly into Iran aboard helicopters, rendezvous in the desert, then assault the embassy compound in the capital and free the hostages. On the night of April 24, 1980, the Delta team launched into action. Dust whipped through the desert as 8 RH-53 Sea Stallion helicopters and C-130 planes converged at a remote site codenamed Desert 1. Delta operators and Rangers waited for the choppers to refuel before heading to Tehran. But things quickly went wrong. A sudden sandstorm and mechanical failures crippled several helicopters. Of the 8 choppers, only 5 were left in working order, 1 fewer than the minimum needed for the mission. With the element of surprise slipping away and too few aircraft to carry out the raid, Delta's commander on the ground passed an agonizing recommendation up the chain: abort the mission. Then came tragedy. As one of the helicopters repositioned in the darkness, it collided with a parked C-130 fuel aircraft. A fireball erupted, killing 8 American servicemen in an instant. The failed Iran hostage rescue was a bitter defeat for Delta Force's debut, underscored by images of charred U.S. helicopters in the desert broadcast worldwide. The mission's failure had wide repercussions. The U.S. military realized it needed better joint coordination and specialized equipment for special ops. As a direct result, the military created JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command, established the 160th SOAR Night Stalkers helicopter unit, and hurriedly formed SEAL Team 6 for counter-terror at sea. Operation Eagle Claw's painful lessons actually forged a stronger special operations community. And Delta Force, though bloodied, gained invaluable experience. 4. Panama, 1989. Hostage rescue and a dictator's downfall. Fast forward to December 1989. The U.S. launches Operation Just Cause, the invasion of Panama, to oust dictator Manuel Noriega. Delta Force was on the front lines from the opening hours. Their mission: rescue an American hostage and help bring Noriega to justice. The operation, codenamed Acid Gambit, saw Delta Force execute a daring raid to free Kurt Muse, an American citizen held in Panama's notorious Carcel Modelo prison. Before dawn on December 20th, 1989, Delta commandos swooped in via Black Hawk helicopters to raid the prison where Muse was captive. The assault was literally explosive. They blew holes in the building and stormed through with overwhelming speed. Amid gunfire and flashbangs, they secured Muse and hustled him to a MH-6 Little Bird chopper on the roof. In a cinematic twist, as the tiny helicopter lifted off overloaded, one Delta operator had to cling to the outside skid because there was no room inside. Despite intense ground fire and even being wounded, the team whisked the hostage away to safety. Delta's first successful hostage rescue was in the books. But the fight in Panama wasn't over. Delta Force operators, along with other U.S. Special Ops units, then turned their attention to Noriega. Trapped inside the Vatican embassy, Noriega eventually surrendered on January 3, 1990, thanks in part to psychological warfare, including blasting rock music. Delta Force had successfully executed a hostage rescue and helped remove a dictator in one mission. 3. Black Hawk Down, Valor in Mogadishu, 1993. One of Delta Force's most famous and ferocious engagements was the Battle of Mogadishu in October 1993, immortalized in the book and film Black Hawk Down. Delta operators were in Somalia as part of Task Force Ranger, sent to capture warlord Mohammed Farah Aidid. On October 3, 1993, Delta Force soldiers and Army Rangers launched a daylight raid in the heart of Mogadishu to grab Aidid's lieutenants. What was supposed to be an in-and-out mission turned into an 18-hour urban battle for survival. During the raid, Somali militia fighters, armed with RPGs, managed to shoot down 2 U.S. Black Hawk helicopters over the city. Suddenly, Delta operators and Rangers found themselves surrounded by thousands of hostile gunmen in a dense city maze. Delta snipers Randy Shuggart and Gary Gordon volunteered to defend one crash site. Outnumbered, they held off attackers with incredible courage before being overrun. Both received the Medal of Honor posthumously for their heroism. By the next morning, 18 American soldiers were killed, including 5 Delta Force operators and dozens wounded. The battle was a turning point for U.S. Special Operations, showing the risks of urban warfare, but also the incredible bravery and skill of Delta Force. 2. War on Terror. The global hunt after 9/11's Delta Force became America's precision weapon in the global war on terror. They were among the first boots on the ground in Afghanistan in 2001, helping take down the Taliban and hunting Osama bin Laden in Tora Bora. In 2003, they helped capture Saddam Hussein in Iraq, finding him in a spider hole near Tikrit. Throughout the 2000s and 2010s, Delta Force conducted countless raids against Al-Qaeda and ISIS, dismantling terrorist networks with pinpoint accuracy. One Delta operator, Master Sergeant Joshua Wheeler, died in 2015, leading a raid on an ISIS prison, the first American combat fatality against ISIS. Their relentless efforts crippled terror groups and reshaped modern warfare. 1. The raid on Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, 2019. One of Delta Force's most celebrated recent victories was the elimination of ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi in October 2019. Delta operators flew deep into Syria, surrounded his compound, and breached the walls with explosives. Cornered, Baghdadi fled into a dead-end tunnel with 2 children. As Delta closed in, he detonated a suicide vest, killing himself. DNA tests confirmed his identity on the spot. The Delta team reported, "Got him! 100% confidence, jackpot!" This mission showcased Delta Force at its best, surgically precise, lightning fast, and utterly relentless. Conclusion. From the sands of Iran to the streets of Mogadishu, Delta Force has been at the forefront of America's most dangerous and secretive missions. Their actions have shaped history, yet much of what they do will never be known. They train hard, fight hard, and never seek fame, but their legend speaks for itself. If you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe for more military history and special forces stories. What elite unit should we cover next? Drop a comment below.